truth now. Yeah. I'm here to speak and make it clear. I'm sorry, y'all, for all I've done. But I'm not the only one. In a dark place, I told some lies. But I'm not the only one. We all got secrets under the sun. In the shadows, we played the game. Now I'm standing here taking the blame. A lot of y'all was at the freak off too, so don't put it all on me. That's just the truth. I've been up and down this road trying to find my peace. Confessions of a man without a release. Oh, now, hey. In the mirror, I saw the truth hiding in plain view. I'm coming clean now, this burden to undo. We were all there dancing shadows in the night, acting wrong when we knew what was right. But deep inside, there's more you must see. In this room of mirrors, it's not just me. I walk this path with heavy chains, trying to shed those sins, erase the stains. I've seen the highs and the cushion low, fading in the spotlight. That's how it goes. Let me to this moment, let my soul quake. Plays a part in the shadows deep, lost in the game. It's promises to keep.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, and so that all been said, also don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Dr._A_Shakur and Twitter at DGoddess27. Okay, and as per usual, if you don't like what the Queen is cooking, you already know what to do. All right, hello, Patricia Gary. Miss Sheila's in the house, 504 Nola, Lillian X, Alice Childs is here, Jasmine, Most Hated Bronze Flat Power God. Okay, shout out to my moderators putting in work. Nessie X, Anita Harrell, Sexy Nessa is here, Dragon Lily, Chris Y, Aquarius MC is here. All right, Deronda. So shout out to everyone tuning into the Queen, all of my loyal royals, and everyone else. So let's get ready to get into it. Now, before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all been said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. Okay, so now let's get into it. Because as I told you all on yesterday, Jay-Z is suing Tony Busby. Okay, suing Tony Busby. He amended his lawsuit, and he's playing the victim. Okay, and why do I say he's playing the victim? Because that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's absolutely playing the victim, in my opinion. And here's the thing. I'm not going to drag Tony Busby because I saw somebody just really going hard in the paint on Tony Busby, which is so crazy because they were such a champion for Tony Busby. And so sure, in fact, that Jay-Z was guilty that they said that it possibly happened in 2003. Y'all remember that? But now they're dragging Tony Busby. Well, I'm not going to drag Tony Busby because in my opinion, he's still a good attorney. Nobody's perfect, like I said yesterday. But the reason this whole lawsuit was dismissed is because of a lack of evidence, okay? A lack of evidence. Now, that doesn't surprise me because at the end of the day, all we have are the word of the accuser, the words of Jay-Z and Diddy, the accused. Okay, so it was just going to be a back and forth. She didn't have anything significant. She couldn't prove that her father picked her up. Her father didn't remember. Okay, and then the people that she said she spoke to say they weren't even there. So now maybe she was lying, maybe she was just confused or just couldn't remember things adequately. But nonetheless, she didn't provide enough evidence. And here's the thing, the reason that it was withdrawn, okay, the reason it was dismissed without prejudice, and they, she went ahead and wanted it to be dismissed, voluntarily dismissed, was because they didn't want to risk the embarrassment and the humiliation of it being dismissed in court. Because let's not forget, Jay-Z already had a motion for it to be dismissed, and he had some very compelling information as to why it should be dismissed as far as I was concerned. Okay, and I told you all that when I read you the evidence. So with that all being said, it was clearly dismissed because of a lack of evidence. Okay, Miss Sheila said Jay-Z is still nefarious. Yes, he absolutely is. Because here's the thing. The reason why it was easy for some of us to believe that Jay-Z likely could have actually done this, even though the story sounded a bit sketchy, is because we've heard these rumors about Jay-Z and Foxy Brown. We've heard the rumors about Jay-Z and Rihanna. We've heard the rumors about him grooming Beyonce before they got together. So and then let's not forget Ramirez Satterwhite, the young man who claims to be Jay-Z's son. Okay, his mother was a minor. And so this is why it was easy for people to believe these things. It's not like it's far-fetched, Jay-Z. Okay, that's just my opinion. Now, the bottom line is I do believe that he's still nefarious. I absolutely do. And I believe that there's some other things that he's likely done. Now, as I told you all from day one, he's not going to jail, okay, for anything that he's done. Now, I wasn't specifically just talking about that case because like I told you guys, there was no way he was going to jail for that case because it was a civil case, not a criminal. He doesn't have any criminal charges as of yet, like Diddy does. So, yeah, Jay-Z's not going to jail. And I know some people keep saying he is, but how's he going to jail when he doesn't even have criminal charges as of yet? Now, with that all being said, another thing is, I told you all in yesterday, but people keep asking, how is it that Jay-Z and Diddy both got dismissed from the lawsuit and not Jay-Z alone? Well, because that only makes sense. Now, if you all remember, it was about a week ago when it was reported that the Diddy's music company was dismissed from the lawsuit. You all remember that, right? Okay, so the organization was released or dismissed from the lawsuit. Now, some people were saying that the lawsuit was about to be dismissed. Okay, well, that all came about because once the entity was released or dismissed from the lawsuit, people likely figured that the whole thing's going to get dismissed sooner than later. And that's exactly what happened. So if anybody's still wondering why Diddy got released from the lawsuit, it was for the same reason as Jay-Z. Because quite frankly, there wasn't enough evidence to find either of them accountable. There just wasn't enough evidence, okay? And you can't sit there and say you have evidence on Diddy, but not on Jay-Z, when the accuser literally said that she was at the party, the after party, and that she was in the room with Diddy, Jay-Z, and Celebrity B, who was a female. She included all three of them. So how could the story be accurate if we take away Jay-Z? How could the story have happened the way she said if we take Jay-Z out of the equation? This is not hard, okay? It's easy to do the math because she said in the lawsuit that Diddy had her in the room. She was given something by someone in the party that made her feel dizzy or whatever. And then she says Jay-Z threw her down and ripped off her clothes. So how does any of this happen if Jay-Z is not there? So you have to dismiss the entire lawsuit. Do you all understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? Once in the chat, if that makes sense to you. Once in the chat, if that makes sense to you. Because some people seem to be so perplexed as to how in the world Diddy was released from the lawsuit. Okay? I mean, I don't see why it's so hard to comprehend. not seeing how that is. Miss Sheila says Busby is still dropping cases on Diddy. Yes, in fact, I reported yesterday that he dropped at least 7, or he's planning to drop at least 7 on Diddy. Okay, so now let's talk about Jay-Z, because Jay-Z's out here playing the victim, because that's exactly what it is. Jay-Z is not going to make me think by any stretch of my imagination or his or Beyonce's that they were actually afraid for their lives and that people really were threatening to murk them. I don't believe it. Okay, now that's what he's saying. He could be telling the truth, but I doubt it. Okay, I absolutely doubt it. So let's get into the declaration that Jay-Z filed stating just that. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I'm going to share my screen so you all can see these documents. Okay, so let's talk about it. Let me put my overlay on here. Okay, so now here's what Jay-Z says. Declaration of Sean Carter. Sean Carter, Sean Carter, declare as follows. I am the plaintiff in this action. And listen, let me just say this, guys. I'm sorry you all are hearing noise in the background. It's the landscapers, okay? Okay, so anyway, that all been said. I, Sean Carter, declare as follows. I am the plaintiff in this action. I make this declaration in opposition to defendant's special motion to strike. Now, unless otherwise noted, I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein, and if called upon to testify, I could and would competently testify thereto. Now, in November of 2024, I received demand letters from Anthony Busby, Mr. Busby, falsely accusing me of vile conduct. Each was dated November the 5th of 2024. Mr. Busby wrote the first letter on behalf of someone that he identified only as Jane Doe. Mr. Busby's letter stated that at a 2000 party in New York, I raped his client when she was 13 years old after someone had secretly given her illegal substances. Now, that accusation is false and ridiculous in every aspect or every respect. Mr. Busby wrote his second letter on behalf of someone he referred to only as John Doe. Now, in that letter, Mr. Busby stated that at a 2015 party in Beverly Hills, I assaulted John Doe, who was then 16 years old, after someone else had also secretly given him illegal substances. Now, the accusation is also false and ridiculous in every respect. Now, I want you all to pay attention. I want you all to pay attention, because how come we never heard about this when Busby first sent the letters to Jay-Z? Okay, how come we never heard anything about that mail? Now, these allegations, which I learned of for the first time through these demand letters, were shocking to me and have absolutely no basis in fact. I did not do what Mr. Busby and his clients accused me of having done. In both of these demand letters, Mr. Busby gave me a choice. Either A, I could attend a mediation in which he demanded that I be prepared to give each of his clients something of substance to address their situation, or if I did not agree to this by November 19th, then B, he would take a different course in the form of causing a public spectacle over his accusations that I had supposedly raped his clients, and that he would file a public lawsuit against me. I understood Mr. Busby's demand for something of substance to be a demand that I pay him and his clients a large sum of money to buy their silence. These were blatant blackmail attempts. In the weeks leading up to Mr. Busby sending me these 2 demand letters, he had engaged in a nonstop nationwide media blitz concerning Sean Combs, who had been arrested for assaulting men, women, and minors over many years, often at parties that he had hosted. Mr. Busby had claimed in media interviews and press conferences to represent 120 such persons. And he claimed that others, including well-known recording artists and music industry entrepreneurs, had participated in these criminal activities. Mr. Busby made it clear that he was going to take his clients to law enforcement officers and agencies to see that the unnamed perpetrators landed in jail. He stated that he planned to not only pursue such persons through civil litigation, but also to encourage his clients to pursue these people through the criminal justice system, whether by going to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Department of Justice, or other law enforcement authorities. Now, he warned that the indictment against Mr. Combs will grow and that other people will be implicated. And he threatened that anyone involved in Mr. Combs' alleged misconduct should be prosecuted and put underneath the jail. Well, I agree. Given that he had made these public statements right before he sent me the demand letters, it was clear to me that the demand letters conveyed a threat to have his clients report me to the police if I didn't meet his demands for compensation. Mr. Busby's threat of a criminal referral became even clearer 1 week after he sent me the letters. He went to TMZ and made more threats. He told the host, Harvey Levin, that he was encouraging all his clients to talk to law enforcement authorities. Now, I know that lawyers send demand letters, but these demand letters were different. They came on the heels of Mr. Busby's widely disseminated public accusations that he was going after people in the music business that he claimed had participated in Mr. Combs' crimes. Then he sent me the 2 letters that specifically accused me of having participated in Mr. Combs' criminal conduct. I was deeply concerned that if I did not pay his clients something of substance, that Mr. Busby intended to create a public spectacle and take his clients to criminal authorities to convince them to prosecute me. I didn't think that there was any other way to read those letters. It was not as if he assured me in the letters that he was no longer planning to take his clients to the FBI or other law enforcement authorities to pursue criminal proceedings against me. He was still saying that. As a result, I took Mr. Busby's demand letters to communicate to me that if I did not agree within the next 2 weeks to ultimately pay his clients substantial amounts of money, he would falsely brand me in the media as a child rapist, file lawsuits against me claiming falsely that I had done these horrible things, and attempt to bring the criminal justice system down on me by having his clients make false accusations against me to the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. Now, it is no exaggeration that I view this as an existential threat to my reputation, my career, my family, and everything else that I have spent my life achieving. And because it was all predicated on completely false accusations, I consider Mr. Busby to be blackmailing me. I felt enormous pressure to protect my family from what Mr. Busby threatened and to preserve my professional reputation. I felt mental anguish knowing someone, Mr. Busby, was attempting to maliciously destroy me, my livelihood, and my family. I felt that Mr. Busby was placing a gun to my head and that I either bow to his demands or endure personal and financial ruin. His actions caused me mental anguish about the ticking time bomb and what it would do to me, my family, and my hard-earned reputation. I refused to be intimidated or extorted by Mr. Busby. After receiving his demand letters, my lawyer contacted Mr. Busby's firm to find out information regarding his Doe clients and the basis for their false allegations. Mr. Busby's associate refused to provide any information about their false allegations unless I signed a non-disclosure agreement. Mr. Busby himself never returned the call. Well, I'm sure he didn't return the call because Mr. Busby likely doesn't have time to be talking to the attorneys of the people accused by his clients. Okay, he'd be on the phone all day if he did have time to do so. Now, meanwhile, Mr. Busby continued to speak these false claims about me to the press. He also alluded to it being me who was bringing a client against or bringing a claim against him, including by commenting on liking and engaging with social media comments speculating that I was the person, celebrity A, that he mentioned to name in the lawsuit that would allege that I had assaulted his clients. Well, Jay-Z, you were the person. Okay, you were the person. And let's not forget that I keep telling you guys, at the end of the day, Jay-Z was listed, so was Celebrity B. Okay, so why is Jay-Z now sitting here trying to act like Busby was out here lying on him or just spreading false rumors or whatever? He was the person that the accuser named. Okay, and Busby had every right to make his name public at some point. So what is he talking about? And let's not forget that he absolutely was the one who brought a claim against Busby. So what's the problem? He's supposed to bring a claim and use a pseudonym, but nobody can bring a claim against him using a pseudonym. And then nobody is supposed to tell that he brought a claim against them. Jay-Z, please sit down somewhere. But let me continue. So then he also made good on his threat to accuse me publicly outside of the courthouse of raping a minor. Right now, this in December of 2024, Mr. Busby made good on that threat by adding me as a defendant to the lawsuit he already had filed on behalf of Jane Doe. Now, in fact, before filing the lawsuit, he even contacted an NBC reporter to disclose that he would soon be naming me in the lawsuit. And he continued his threats to report his targets to law enforcement agencies for criminal investigation. Among other things, he stated to TMZ again that he was not ruling out filing charges against me with New York prosecutors. Now, when I read this, I was shocked, appalled, and devastated. Okay, not appalled. Jay-Z, sit down somewhere. It's not like you haven't been arrested before. Please pay attention. Now, it was incredibly painful for my wife and me to sit down with our children, one of whom is at an age where her friends would surely see the press and ask questions about these claims and explain this. I mourn this loss of innocence for my children, including one who is around the age that the female minor claims to have been when she falsely claims that these heinous acts happened. I am heartbroken that my children have to endure hearing these things about their father, especially at their young age. Although my utmost priority is my family, I was also concerned about the impact that these accusations would have on my career, and more importantly, the negative effect it could have on all the people who work with me. Now, I want you all to pay attention to something. Because if you remember, some of this that I'm reading to you has already been reported. Okay, some of the stuff that I'm reading to you has already been reported in magazine or online articles. And the interesting thing is, they never said anything about this male accuser. Don't y'all find that interesting how they covered that up? Okay, until as of late. But let me continue. He says, I know that false allegations like the ones Mr. Busby has levied against me can be career-ending and threaten to destroy what I have worked so hard to build. Mr. Busby's actions undermined my relationship and my company, Roc Nation's relationship with other businesses in the sports and entertainment space. We have agreements to produce entertainment programs for certain sporting events. After Mr. Busby filed the lawsuit, the media reported that other businesses could end their deals with Roc Nation and forced one to speak out and address whether these false allegations would end our business relationship. Now, immediately after Mr. Busby went public with his false allegations or accusations, my company, Roc Nation, also lost other contracts in the sports and entertainment space that would have generated revenues of approximately $20 million per year. Now, social media comments online responding to Mr. Busby's public statements about me and accusations against me have caused me harm. For example, people have said, I can't wait until you join Combs in prison, then later in hell. He needs to be in jail. Jay-Z needs to be locked up. Jay-Z is about to go down. All of you at Roc Nation, Jay-Z, all of you are going down. Just wait and see. And lock Jay-Z up. This is what people were saying online, he says. Other comments have accused me of being a Satanist. Well, I can say that I have also said that. I absolutely believe you're a Satanist, Jay-Z. Otherwise, why would you be friends with Marina Abramovich, who engages allegedly in spirit cooking? Why would you be such a fan of Aleister Crowley that you wear his phrase on your clothing? Yes, I do think that you're a Satanist. But let me continue. And why did Beyonce have on a Baphomet outfit and a Baphomet ring? Yeah, I absolutely believe you're a whole Satanist and your wife too. That's what I believe. But let me continue. So other comments have accused me of being a Satanist, a trafficker, a terrorist, and a monster. Called me the N-word and threatened violence against me and my wife, including to kill or execute us. Where's the proof of this, Jay-Z? Where is the proof of this? See, I don't believe this. Jay-Z, I don't believe this about somebody plotting to kill them or saying they would kill them or threatening to kill them. You know why I don't believe it? Here's why. The reason I don't believe it, Carmen X says, who cares? Reparations. Yeah, we do need reparations. That's a fact. Now, listen, here's the thing. I don't believe that someone threatened to kill him and Beyonce. Okay, because if that were true, where's the proof? Where are those comments, Jay-Z? Did you not screenshot them? Did you not report it to the police? Did you not file charges for terroristic threats? Because that's what I would have done. You let somebody threaten me online. I don't care who it is and for whatever reason. I'm filing charges for terroristic threats. Okay, especially if you say you're going to murk me. Okay, so Jay-Z, please sit down somewhere. I don't believe you. Okay, where are the criminal charges? Because anybody that says something like that online, we can always find out who they are, because social media is real good with finding people's IP addresses, okay, and tracking them. So yeah, somebody could have been arrested. So I don't believe that he's playing the victim here. That's what he's doing. The one who is allegedly a predator now playing the victim. Okay, I don't know for a fact he's a predator, but I absolutely believe that he is. Okay, let me continue. Because how are you friends with Diddy, who's also an alleged predator for decades? Literally decades, and you aren't one too? Or you don't have anything to do with the shenanigans he's done, but it's also been alleged on several occasions that both of you had dealings with minors? Yeah, even your now wife is what they have alleged. But let me continue. And he said himself, and I showed you all the receipts where he posted on his social media some time ago that he first saw Beyonce when she was 16. And he knew that she was going to be his. A grown man, almost 30 years old, lusting after a 16-year-old. Jay-Z, please sit down somewhere. You are nobody's victim. That's one thing that you're not. And your attorney, Alex Spiro, may be a high profile and good attorney, but it didn't take any magic wand or anything, of legal expertise for this to be dismissed, because Alex Spiro didn't get this dismissed. The young lady voluntarily dismissed it, because I heard one idiot say on their platform that Alex Spiro is such a good attorney. I don't think anybody but him could have pulled this off. What in the hell did Alex Spiro pull off? The accuser voluntarily dismissed the case. That didn't require Alex Spiro doing anything. But I digress. I was harshly criticized by others for accompanying my daughter to the premiere of her movie a day after Mr. Busby filed the Jane Doe lawsuit against me. Media outlets reported that Disney was hesitant over my attendance at the premiere because of the accusations. I feel that Mr. Busby purposely filed this lawsuit on the eve of my daughter's premiere to put me in a position of having to choose between supporting my daughter or hiding to avoid the negative press. Honey, Tony Busby probably didn't even know your daughter had a premiere. Okay, Jay-Z, please sit down somewhere. Like Tony Busby's literally following and tracking every move your family makes and everything, an event that they attend or everything that they have anything to do with. I don't think so. Okay, I don't think so. That's a self-inflated sense of self or inflated sense of self. Okay, that's what that is in my opinion. But let me continue. Now, he says, I declare under a penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the foregoing is true and correct, executed on this 10th day of February 2025 in Los Angeles, California. Okay, so you all let me know what y'all think about it, because I find Jay-Z just fake and phony. And like I told you guys a month or so ago, Jay-Z might not be guilty of what he was accused of recently, but I for darn sure think he's guilty of something. That's what I think. I darn sure think he's guilty of something. Okay, please. Nessa G says, I think he came to prepare to the premiere to gain sympathy. And that's likely why he came. Okay, that's likely why he came, beloved. Absolutely. All right. So with that all being said, let's talk about Elon Musk. Okay, him and Trump shenanigans. Oh, but first, before we get into that, this is what Busby posted to his social media. This is what Tony Busby posted to his Instagram account. Let's get into it. Carmen X, thank you for the super sticker, beloved. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, Tony Busby says, today I'm working from my Dallas office. This has been an extremely busy week at the Busby Law Firm. This week we filed 7 cases in New York State Court alleging S abuse or S assault, S battery, and S exploitation against Sean P. Diddy Combs. Several other defendants are named in the lawsuits. So I want you all to pay attention. He said several other defendants. Okay, now these could be some high profile people too. So let's just sit back and see how this all turns out. Now, the cases filed this week are being brought for conduct that allegedly occurred as far back as the year 1999 and as recent as 2022. Here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention to something, because some people just flip-flop. As I told you all before, you can always tell people that don't have critical or very good analytical skills because they flip-flop. You see, they can't take a position or a stance and stand on it. They blow with the wind. Okay, if somebody's being favored, then they favor that person. If somebody's being dragged, then they drag that person. See, that shows that they don't have independence of thought. And that's why that same person that I'm talking about copies my and other people's talking points, because they don't have independent thought. Now, I guarantee you in the next few days, they'll be praising Tony Busby about something else when he does something that's favorable. Okay, please pay attention, but let's continue. Now, with that all being said, the egregious conduct alleged in these filings occurred in Los Angeles, Miami, and New York City. 3 of the plaintiffs are male and 4 of the plaintiffs are female. One of the plaintiffs was only 15 at the time of the alleged exploitation. As has been our practice, we will let the allegations in these filed complaints speak for themselves, and we will work to see that justice is done in court. As we approach an important deadline, we expect to be filing additional cases, naming Mr. Combs and others as defendants as we continue to gather evidence and prepare former filings. Now, here's what I want you all to pay attention to. Here's what I want you all to pay attention to. He said males and females, and one person was as young as 15 years old when this occurred. Okay, so more lawsuits coming out with the minors. Okay, so I want you all to pay attention to that, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Depending on who these defendants are, Jay-Z could be involved in one of these cases for all he knows. Okay, Jay-Z could absolutely be involved in one of these new cases, because he said it's going to be including more defendants. Okay, and with that all being said, I guess we're going to have to wait and see. Because I keep telling y'all, and I'm still going to say it, Tony Busby has tricks up his sleeve. I don't care what anybody says. That's why I'm not going to bash him at the end of the day. Okay, please. Now, because one case fell through, just because one case may have fallen through the cracks, doesn't mean that he's not a good attorney, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, doesn't mean that he's not a good attorney. Please pay attention. So now, with that all being said, Corey Thomas says, Dr. Shakur, do you think Jay-Z paid off the accuser? No, I don't think so. And the reason I don't think so is because he could have done that in the first place. I mean, if he was going to go through all of this and spend all this money with Alex Spiro and bring forth all this evidence and filing claims against Tony Busby and all this stuff, because all this costs money. If he was going to do this, he could have simply just quietly gave her a settlement behind closed doors. We would never have even known that he was celebrity A. We would never have known that. But here's the thing. We know also that he didn't pay her a dime. There was no settlement, because I told you all this days ago. You heard it here first. I told you all this days ago, because I caught on to what Alex Spiro said in his statement after the case was dismissed. Alex Spiro said that Jay-Z didn't pay one dime. That's what he said. He said he didn't pay one dime. Okay, and so with that all being said, now that doesn't mean there wasn't some other type of agreement made, but definitely not one involving monetary compensation, in my opinion. Okay, I don't think so. Okay, so now let's get into it, because Jasmine Crockett had a whole lot to say about Elon Musk. I mean, the Dems are going in on them. Okay, Gemini 605 says it's bogus. Yes, it absolutely is, beloved. Okay, it absolutely is. I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, I couldn't agree with you more. But here's the thing. If Jay-Z is guilty of any of the things that we've heard of over the past 3 decades or so, if he's guilty of any of these people that come forward and with accusations or whatever, then I hope he gets exactly what's coming to him, as I do Diddy. Okay, just as I do Diddy. Because you're not going to convince me that Jay-Z and Diddy weren't involved in the same things. Nobody's going to convince me of that. Okay, you're going to have some serious evidence to prove otherwise, because I know that me and my best friend and Jay-Z and Diddy were best friends. Okay, but please make no mistake. I don't care what Alex Spiro told you, they were best friends. And how do you know that? It's because they called each other brothers. And nobody besides Jay-Z or besides Diddy's mother, Joyce Combs, was even allowed to call Diddy Sean except for Jay-Z. Okay? And then Diddy's kids called him Uncle Jay. So I'm sorry. They were best friends as far as I'm concerned. And you're not going to sit here and tell me that you don't know nefarious things that your best friend's doing when you're at the same events that that person's at. Now, mind you, there are some people who have secret lives, like serial killers. You could be best friends with a serial killer and never even know. But at the end of the day, if you're going to the same parties with this person, if you're going to the same events, if you're hanging out with the same mutual people, okay, if you're around this person and the person they're dating, Cassie, for example, then you know that they beat this person's behind. You know they're abusive to this person. You know this. And in one of the lawsuits, it literally said that Beyonce was right there when Diddy was going in on Cassie. And Beyonce got upset. So with that all being said, Jay-Z's not fooling me. He knows a whole lot. And he is guilty, just as guilty, if not more so than Diddy, as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is my opinion. I can't substantiate this. But at the end of the day, I do think that Jay-Z's guilty. And here's the thing. The fact that, you know, that whole thing about the alleged male who accused Jay-Z at the age of 16, that was just kind of swept under the rug, that never really came out until as of late. Y'all don't find that interesting? Y'all don't find that suspicious? Why wasn't anything said about this prior? Why was this swept under the rug? Yeah, because the last thing Jay-Z wanted was to be accused of being LGBTQ, okay? Please pay attention. Now, that all being said, but I absolutely think that he is, okay? I mean, he was friends with Diddy all these years, okay? I'm sorry. I think that anybody that was as close to Diddy as he was, knowing that Diddy is zesty as a hell, because we know Diddy is zesty as hell. There's no allegations. We know he's zesty as hell. We've seen him in black lace. We've seen him wearing wigs. We don't have to see him literally in the act to know that he's zesty. We just know that he is. And so if Jay-Z was that close with him all these times, you don't think Jay-Z is possibly zesty too? Yeah, I think so. Okay, I think so. I think so. Okay, and that's why I'm not about to go in on Tony Busby, because at the end of the day, Jay-Z just, you know, beat him at his own game. That's what happened. Jay-Z beat Tony Busby at his own game. That's all it is. And see, I'm not surprised because, like I told you guys, Jay-Z has more power than Diddy. I told you all this months ago. Remember, you heard it here first. I explained to you how Jay-Z is more in bed with the higher ups than Diddy has ever been, and he's looked upon more favorably than Diddy ever was. And that's because Jay-Z does not carry himself as a thug. Jay-Z's not out here beating up Beyonce in public and having his bodyguards whisk her away to cover up bruises and leave her at a hotel for weeks at a time. Jay-Z wasn't doing any of that. Jay-Z was not out here on street corners going off on people in a Halloween costume dressed like the Joker and acting as if he was the real character. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't cracking people upside the heads with champagne bottles and holding chairs over women's heads like Leslie Ann Gibson or Lori Ann Gibson. He wasn't making a spectacle of himself. You see, the thing about Jay-Z that we have to acknowledge, you know, he has carried himself for the most part. Now, we know that he was accused of stabbing somebody and he sold drugs and Marcy projects and all that back in the day. But over the last over the last decade or two, at least, he's been carrying himself as a model citizen. He's been carrying himself with dignity, style, and grace, more than we can say for Diddy. Okay, so at the end of the day, Jay-Z's going to be more protected. Okay, that's what he's going to be. Jay-Z's going to be more protected. And so Jay-Z just beat Tony Busby at his own game. That's all that was, as far as I'm concerned. He just got over. And that's another reason why he's never going to prison. I don't care who comes out against him with allegations of saying whatever. Jay-Z's not ever going to jail. That's what he's not going to do. Now, if he did some of the things that I think he may have done, well, he should be in prison. But he's not going, okay? He's not going. It's just the luck of the draw for him, all right? That's right. Natasha said he was behaving himself, okay? And then Miss Sheila said Jay-Z is a weirdo, okay? And so anyway, Tawana says Jay-Z does his ish in the dark. Exactly. Whole lot smarter than Diddy. You see, he's more composed. You ever see somebody who loses it? Like you could be having a conversation and they're talking calm and then all of a sudden they escalate and just go off on you. That's Diddy. Diddy can't remain calm. He's a live wire. Diddy goes off. He's been known to go off. He cannot control his demons. And I think that Jay-Z can. Okay, so with that all being said, let's talk about Jasmine Crockett going in on good old Elon Musk. Let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. And let me just say again before I get started that the politicians in Washington, in the United States, I absolutely believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that they have been engaging in money laundering. And I will not ever believe that they spent these large portions and sums of money on the bullshit that they want us to think they spent it on. And they're very concerned now that they're being exposed and called out for their BS. Okay.
Gentlewoman from Texas, Miss Crockett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Catalcove, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up where you left off really quickly. Just to be clear, the upgrades that you're talking about as it relates to our data processes, these aren't things that would be free, are they? They would cost some kind of money. Not looking for a number, but they will cost, correct?
Some are free and some would cost money.
Okay. All right. So I just want to leave it there because we've had a number of these hearings. So I do want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term. And we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear, I was there. So I don't want anyone to believe that Democrats just come to work and don't plan to do work. In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a Doge subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming. But I will say this, it's also interesting to me that in the first few days of Doge existing, we know that they are trying to get rid of the Department of Education, USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're laying off FAA workers. They are going after the FDA, the CDC, the HHS, the FBI agents, and they're talking about getting rid of FEMA. And they brought y'all in. And I am going to say that I actually was shocked that there was only one person that seemed like he was an overt Trumper as you laid out your opening remarks, because I anticipated that at least one of y'all would say, yes, what Elon is doing is exactly what we would prescribe. But instead, I will applaud you because you actually were focused. You talked about what the American people are looking for us to do. We've actually consistently on this side of the aisle promoted this idea of making investments into technology so that we can do things such as, say, look at the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense that takes up approximately 50% of our discretionary income, or our discretionary spending. Approximately 50% goes to Department of Defense. Department of Defense has not been able to pass an audit in the last 6 audits, and we're not talking about pennies. I understand that we want everything to be perfect, and if we could get all waste, fraud, and abuse out, that would be fantastic. But let me talk about the big numbers. The big numbers are on that side. When we look at, say, our entire workforce, our federal workforce, as we're trying to somehow fire all of them, they don't even make up a total of 5%. It's even less than that when we look at our budget. But let's talk about defense. That just happens to be the same side of the ledger that Mr. Musk gets the vast majority of his money from. In fact, at the same time that they were unlawfully, and we will stay in court, because on this side, we believe in law and order. We believe in, a number of us are actually lawyers, but nevertheless, we understand the Constitution. We believe in that as well. And so there's things such as, impoundment, right? Because as Mr. Whitson said, he said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
It's time for
the
us
gentlelady's
to do our
time has
job
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's
as
time
Musk.
has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Burleson.
Okay, she was going in. Latasha says, Queen, I could respect her more if she took that wig off. Okay, well, you know, she had more to say. She had more to say, so let's get into it, okay? Let's get into it. Y'all know how I feel about wigs. Y'all know how the Queen feels about wigs. Please pay attention.
I just wanted to note that the previous speaker went over by a minute. We've heard a lot about the fact that Democrats have been talking about Elon Musk. And let me give you a news alert. We're not going to stop talking about him. We're going to keep talking about him until he is out of here. Now, if he wants to be elected or appointed and confirmed to something, then so be it. But as of right now, we have somebody that for whatever reason, I don't know if y'all just trying to play in our face because you think we're stupid, or if you literally just cannot see the difference in a George Soros and a Bill Gates. But let me give you a little bit of the difference. Number one, George Soros nor Bill Gates ever somehow decided to turn off the spigot of money that was going through to various organizations and agencies, to the extent that it had actually been ordered by law that they should have access to it, to the extent that people are dying. There are people that have died as a result of this antic, and there are now farmers that are screaming that they may lose their family farms because we have over $500 million worth of food that is sitting and not going anywhere because of the attempt to shut down U.S. aid. So let me tell you.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop Miss Crockett right there, because that sounds like a whole load of BS and hypocrisy. Because I find it interesting that she's talking about farmers losing their farms and money and all of this. But wasn't it under Biden's watch, the Democrats, shall I say, wasn't it under their watch when in fact there was alleged destruction of food? Harvests were destroyed. Isn't that what they were saying, the farmers? Didn't they say the government was offering them like more than what their land was worth to purchase it so that they would stop growing harvest? I'm sorry, do y'all remember how they went to the Amish farmers' residence and were making threats to him? But she's talking about farmers. Yeah, let's keep listening because this is all interesting.
That is the big difference between the two of them. And let me also tell you that a big difference between Democrats and Republicans is that we don't just say we believe in the Constitution, but we walk it like we talk it. What does that mean? That means that if we believe in the Constitution, we don't just pick out the Second Amendment and say that it is limitless, nor do we pick out the First Amendment and say that it is limitless. The thing about the Constitution is that it has always been a balancing test. There are limits to this. And right now, what we continue to hear from a certain side of the aisle is that there are no limits to this lawlessness. In fact, there are limits. I can tell you that one of those limits typically is around hate crimes. You may or may not know that when it comes down to it, if somebody decides that they want to send something hateful in, say, the U.S. mail, they can actually go to prison for that, up to 5 years in prison. So yes, there are always going to be limits. So when we start to talk about Trump and him being pulled down.
I also find it interesting that she brought up hate crimes. Argentine said both sides are full of shite. Yes, absolutely. I keep telling y'all, same snake, two heads. But I find it interesting that she brought up hate crimes when the Democrats, they never cared to, even though they had the opportunity to give and, to pass an anti-Black hate crime bill. That's what they didn't do, Ms. Crockett. Care to talk about that? I'm sure you don't.
On any platform. This just happened to be after he incited an insurrection. This just happened to be after, in a bipartisan way, this particular chamber decided that they were going to impeach him. So there was something a little different about what he did, because as we know, it led to people actually dying. But let's talk about who's doing the nefarious things with the tech giants. Because I don't think that one side of the aisle is promoting truth, but sometimes it may seem a little treasonous. All right, so we've got this article right here about this guy. Meta says,
let me interject again. She said treasonous. And I find that also hypocritical and, quite frankly, interesting, because isn't that what they were doing when they were sending all this money over to foreign lands? Isn't that, in fact, what they were doing when they were sending all of this money over to foreign lands, including Al-Qaeda?
Fact-checking
including Al-Qaeda and known terrorist organizations, according to their own records.
Program on social media post. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Then we have Washington Post says it will not endorse a candidate for president. We also know that actually they absolutely intended to endorse Kamala Harris. We have this one. Google Maps now show Gulf of America instead of Gulf of Mexico for app users in the United States, which is a complete farce because it's the Gulf of Mexico. It always has been. And we know that the AP got kicked out yesterday because they refused to buy into this lie, because that's all y'all really want to promote is lies. That's the big issue that we have. Elon Musk boosted false US aid conspiracy theories to shut down global aid. Now, while he was boosting those lies about US aid, and he was stopping money going for, say, things such as Head Start, somehow the only money that didn't stop was the money to him and his organization. Now, I don't know how you can have him be the watchdog as well as the guy that is literally living off of the government. If we want to talk about government welfare, it looks like Elon Musk, because it's my understanding that just on yesterday, a new contract was approved.
But who gave him the first contract, beloved? Wasn't it Biden, a Democrat? Like, this is all just getting on my damn nerves. She's sitting up here going hard in the paint. And though I agree with some of the things she's saying, let's not act like the Democrats aren't the same. Let's not act like they don't do the same bull crap. Now she's talking about a new contract. Girl, what about the old contract given to Elon Musk by Biden himself? Like, if you're not going to call out the Democrats, then you need to sit down somewhere. Call out your own people as well. Let's not have selective outrage, Ms. Crockett.
For approximately $300 million for Elon Musk. So listen, I just want y'all to be honest. You want to sit here, you want to lie, because so often we hear, well, yeah, we did lie. In fact, he admitted that he lied when he was in the Oval Office yesterday. But if it's a lie that will get you into office, such as saying, I know nothing about Project 2025, yet on day one, you literally do everything that you can to implement it, including making sure that you put, say, one of the main architects of Project 2025 over the OMB, it's okay, so long as you get the power that you seek. The problem is that the game is going to be on the American people. And when I say the American people, I mean all of us. Unfortunately, I am also stuck in the twilight zone because of the lies that were allowed to be propagated. Just like when you're talking about vaccines and all this nonsense, right now in my state of Texas, there is an outbreak of measles. And what they are finding is that because there's been so much disinformation about vaccines, that kids are sick right now with measles that they did not have to have if they just trusted doctors and experts.
I'm glad she brought that up. Oh, I'm so glad she brought that up. Now she's talking about kids being afraid of the venom and then them having measles and all of this and people not trusting the venom. Well, the reason people don't trust it is thanks to the Democrats. The reason people don't trust it is thanks to the Democrats and what happened in the year 2020. Lady, are you playing crazy? And talking about the misinformation, where did that come from besides the Democrats? Are y'all listening to the bullshit? Didn't the Dems give us misinformation themselves? And then she says they don't trust doctors. Well, I wonder why they don't trust doctors. Didn't they, the government that is, okay, along with social media, didn't they deem certain doctors who had medical degrees for years, didn't they deem them as the disinformation dozen? Who the hell are they to question doctors who are licensed to practice, who know about viruses, who know about bacteria, who know about diseases? Who are they to question those doctors and say that they were giving misinformation? But let's continue because she's on a roll.
Instead of randoms online. So I will end by saying this, Mr. Chairman, because I know we believe in Jesus in this chamber. In John 8:32, it says, the truth shall set you free. So maybe we should focus on a little bit of truth in this chamber.
Yeah, you should. And the truth would include you calling out the Dems just as well as the Republicans. Okay, I'm sorry. All of these people are the damn same. I don't care what anybody says. All of these politicians are shady as hell. They're all liars, all greedy. They all want what's best for them and their party. They don't give a damn about the American citizens. None of them do. It's obvious. Jasmine Crockett sat there, went on that whole tirade. And all she was really saying is that Elon Musk doesn't have any damn business meddling in the affairs and the spending of the Democrats. That's all she really said. But my question is, why didn't she ask the question, why isn't some of this money that we've been allocating to foreign nations, why isn't, for foolishness, mind you, why isn't some of this being allocated to the homeless crisis? Why isn't some of it being used to get people off of drugs? Why isn't some of it being used to house people who are on the verge of being evicted, to help children who are without parents or going through things? Why hasn't she said any of that? I mean, they had so much to do for the illegal immigrants who came over here. The Democrats, that is, gave them so many benefits. And at the end of the day, now she wants to go in because they're being called out on their BS because they've been sending billions of dollars to foreign entities just for bullcrap. Okay, we're not supposed to be suspicious of them as well as the Republicans. Please get the hell out of here, okay? That's what she can do. Get the hell out of here, lady. Okay, please get out of here with a BS, because that's all it is. It's just a whole load of BS, period. Okay, I'm sorry. She was being hypocritical. If you can't call out your own people, then you need to sit the hell down and shut the hell up, okay? That's what you need to do. If you want to tell the truth, then you need to tell the whole truth and nothing but. Okay, Corey says, that's Shakur. Do you think that they are popping up or propping up Jasmine Crockett for a presidential run because they know they have lost the black vote, which will fail, but do you? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think she's a Democratic shield. That's what I think she is, beloved. I think that she fights hard, tooth and nail for the Democrats because that's her party. And she loves them. And she will not call out any of the BS that they do. She was the one that was such a starch defendant of Biden. When we all know Biden was talking crazy, when we all know that he didn't know what the hell he was saying, okay, she was defending Biden. This is what both parties do. Okay, this is what both parties do. The Democrats will defend the Democrats, and whether they're good, whether they're right, wrong, or indifferent. And the Republicans do the same. That's just what it is. Both parties suck as far as I'm concerned. Okay, they're both full of nothing but a bunch of liars and money-hungry varmints who don't give one single damn about the American citizens. And if they did, they'd be arguing more so about that as opposed to what Elon's digging up. Okay, that's what they would be talking about at the end of the day, if they gave a damn. What about healthcare in this country? Didn't the United Healthcare CEO just get murked because people are upset about healthcare? These are things they should be focusing their energy and efforts on, okay? Not pointing the finger of blame and shame back and forth. See, this is nothing but a game. You all don't realize this is political theater. This is all we get every election cycle, okay? This is all we ever get every 4 years. A bunch of BS with the Democrats going in on the Republicans going in on the Democrats. But meanwhile, nobody's doing a damn thing for the U.S. citizens. They know that prices are going up. They know that we're going through hell and high water. They don't care. The only thing they care about are themselves. And that should be abundantly apparent to everyone listening to any of the things that they say. Okay, but now let's talk about South Africa. Farmers in Mississippi illegally hired white South Africans using H-2A visas and paid them more than Americans. If South Americans are allowed to come to the USA, more American jobs will be lost. I am 100% against bringing them here. Let them go to their ancestral homes in Europe. I agree. If they don't want the other immigrants here, why do they want these immigrants here, Donald Trump? I have several questions, okay? But let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance.
There's some good days, you know.
David Crawford of Lambert worked in these fields for at least 20 years. Then, about 5 years ago, he noticed something different, something odd.
Knows a lot of South African guys coming down this way, and they taking over their jobs too.
Taking over jobs he had. Attorney Ty Pinkins started hearing similar stories in Sunflower County. Soon, the entire Delta was abuzz with stories of foreigners replacing local farm workers.
They were telling us that they didn't understand why they were getting fired from working on the farm at the same time that white South Africans were showing up on the farm.
Pinkins began investigating and found some shocking facts. He found Delta farmers abusing a government visa program for foreign workers, a program that made farmers promise 3 things.
Now, I want you all to pay very careful attention and listen to this, because this didn't just start happening. This has been happening under Biden's watch while the Dems were in control. Okay, I want y'all to pay attention, but Ms. Crockett didn't bring up this. Let's keep listening.
Farm owners are breaking all 3 rules, all of them. First, they're not reaching out to local farm workers before they bring over H-2A workers. So they're lying to the federal government and saying that they are. They're bringing over the H-2A workers and paying them the $12.55 an hour, while still paying the local black workers here on the farms $7.25 an hour and $8 an hour.
Farmers discovered the H-2A visa program over a decade ago and have increased their use of it every year, according to research from the nonprofit Mississippi Today.
Farm owners, they hire a third party, an intermediary, to recruit these farm workers. And I've traveled all over the Delta, and I can tell you that there are up to 100 or more farm owners in the Delta that use the H-2A program.
The Mississippi Today investigation found them in every farming sector, too, with potato farming showing a whopping 44% violations of the law. But Pinkins believes that's only the tip of the iceberg. Why? Because since 2005, the Labor Department has investigated only 1% of Mississippi farms, but it found of those farms it investigated, 81% violated the law.
Nobody's holding farmers accountable here in the Mississippi Delta.
Pinkins filed lawsuits against some of the biggest violators and recently testified before a congressional committee about the problem.
These changes have been extremely detrimental to local farm workers. Despite all the laws and regulations designed to protect American workers against unfair competition from H-2A workers, local farm workers in the Delta have been displaced as area farmers each year import more and more foreign workers.
It got the attention of U.S. Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, who came to visit the Delta last month.
But when the unemployment rate is 14% in a region, then that doesn't justify going outside and bringing workers in.
And Pinkins says the wrongs committed by Delta farmers don't stop there.
Right over in Humphreys County, which is right next door to this county, we've heard farm workers telling us that farm owners are allowing white South Africans to use the restroom inside the building and forcing local black workers to use the restroom outside in the environment.
The Delta News couldn't find farm owners willing to comment for the record, but at least one told Mississippi Today farmers turned to the visa program in response to a generational shift from farming and a shortage of willing labor. Why do the South Africans come here? Because their pay in U.S. dollars amounts to 15 times more than they could make back home. But even the South Africans have had complaints. Two filed a lawsuit over a so-called bait and switch, where they say they got a promise of farm work but ended up driving trucks and making less than other truckers. Pinkins says it has to stop.
For far too long, community members in Sunflower County and surrounding counties, Humphreys, Yazoo, Sharkey, Issaquena, LaFleur, Coahoma County, they have been cheated out of their wages because of practices by white farm owners in the Delta, and they need their day in court.
So Pinkins began documenting the problem and filing lawsuits where he finds violations. One lawsuit against the Pitts family in Indianola brought this response to Mississippi Today from the family's lawyer. We strongly disagree with the plaintiff's claims, and we look forward to presenting the full set of facts in the course of litigation and having this matter decided according to the law, said attorney Tom Threadgill. But David Crawford says for him, the damage is already done. He left farming about 5 years ago after not being able to support his family on $7.50 an hour.
What was that like trying to live on that?
Oh, it was terrible.
Okay, so you all heard that. Quite a sad story. But at the end of the day, that's what's going on, okay? That's what's going on. And here's the thing. Natasha, thank you for your contribution to the channel, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Okay, she says, yes, queen. Thank you for your agreement. Okay, but here's the thing. The moment Jasmine Crockett opened up her mouth and tried to defend Bill Gates and George Soros, she already lost, as far as I'm concerned. She already lost. You're defending Bill Gates and George Soros. I find that interesting, okay? See it as how, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, remember, you heard it here first. I broke this story February of 2021. And then the mainstream news came back and reported it days later. But remember how I told you guys how Black Lives Matter took that $90 million in 2020 and didn't give anything to the families of the victims and all of that stuff. And how I showed you all with receipts. I did it on the live. Showed you all how that money that they were collecting was going to the Dems. Some of that money was going to the Democrats, okay? The biggest vendors were Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Okay, I also showed you how if you track the money, you follow the money, where did it lead us back to? It led us to George Soros and an organization known as Act Blue. But that's who she's defending. Yeah, I'm sorry, make that make sense. And she's defending Bill Gates, who has no degree in virology, epidemiology. Okay, he's not a medical doctor, has no medical degrees. In fact, didn't he drop out of college? But that's who they put in charge of venom globally, going around from place to place. And that's who she's defending. Okay, aren't there people in certain areas of the world that want to see him in prison for crimes against humanity, alleged crimes against humanity, shall I say? But isn't that the case? But she's defending him. I just want you all to pay attention, okay? Is this woman really for people who look like me? No, she isn't. You could not really be for people who look like me, beloved, and sit up here and defend Bill Gates, a known eugenicist, allegedly. Like his father before him, who was friends with Margaret Sanger, another eugenicist who was also hailed and praised by Hillary Clinton, another Democrat. Okay, both of these people are trash. Both of these groups are trash as far as I'm concerned. The Democrats and the Republicans at the end of the day, okay, they're not here for us. We have to be here for ourselves. And that's just what it is. Okay, that's just what it is. They're not doing us any favors. And the fact that we have found out, thanks to Elon's digging, that they have been spending, and here's the thing, let me just say this again for anyone who missed it. I'm not saying by any stretch of anyone's imagination, because I've said this before, but let me reiterate that I'm not saying that Elon Musk and Trump are digging into, this information to find out about this wasteful spending because they're doing it for the best interest of America. Now, they could be, but I think they're doing it for themselves. I think they're doing it for themselves. And at the end of the day, also possibly is retaliation against the Dems for the dirt they did to Trump. Okay? As far as he's concerned, not me. But with that all being said, the fact of the matter is, I don't care what reason they're doing the digging. All I care is about what they're finding while they're doing the digging. And I find it interesting that we find out that they've been giving away billions, possibly even trillions of dollars to foreign entities is what they're claiming. Really, I don't think they sent that money to those places. I think the money went in their bank accounts. But nonetheless, they have all this money that they have accounts for, okay? They're claiming to have accounted for how they spent it. But y'all don't have anything for us except a reparations study. That's all we get. After we built this country on our backs, or our ancestors did, after we had to fight for civil rights, live through Jim Crow, police murking Black people at traffic stops, all the hell that we've been through, being socially engineered, indoctrinated, and all of that. And we don't deserve any recompense. I'm sorry, please make it all make sense. Okay, that's just what it is in this nefarious country. Okay, but Kamala Harris and Tim Scott, whom I call Uncle Tim, would have us to think that this isn't a racist country. Yeah, that's what they want us to think. At the end of the day, this is all crazy. And I'm absolutely sick and tired of it, as should we all be. And another thing is, when little Miss Crockett was sitting up there, you know, just going in, she didn't seem so concerned about all of the things that are going on as far as the economy, you know, healthcare. Okay, like I told you guys, homelessness, mental health patients walking the streets because they have nowhere to go. They've closed down the asylums. She's not mentioning any of that. All she's doing is sitting there bitching and moaning and whining and crying about what Elon's finding out about them. All she's concerned about is what Elon's finding out about them. This non-elected official. Isn't Bill Gates a non-elected official that they gave the authority to have a say-so as it pertains to venom being distributed? But they want to talk about misinformation. Yeah, I'm sorry. Make that make sense. So anyway, with that all being said, the Inquirer says, oh yes, retaliation for sure. Absolutely. You already know, beloved. Okay, Nessa X says, exactly, Queen. Thank you. Okay, so that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, honey, because I absolutely cannot with either of these parties. So let me tell you all something. I had a conversation with my friend this morning, excuse me, before I came on here, and I was telling him how, you know, all of these other groups, ethnic groups and races of people, whenever they have something that they have angst about, something that's distressing them, and they feel the need to go out here and protest and fight against it and all of that, they always look to the Black folk. And I'm talking about the African-American Black folk, or FBA, whatever you call yourself. But I'm talking about those of us who are indigenous to this land. They don't go to the Africans. They don't go to the Jamaicans. They don't go to the Trinidadians. They don't go to the Latinas. They all come to us to solve and fix their problems. And when we do not, they get mad and they go in on us. Black people, African Americans, why aren't y'all helping us? Why aren't y'all protesting alongside us? We know we haven't been there for you. Remember the Karens when they were trying to get rid of Roe v. Wade, and the Karens came on TikTok saying, oh, Black women, we know we haven't been there for you, but please, we all need to band together as women. Don't y'all find it interesting that all of these groups of people want us to fight their battles while none of them fight ours? Now, some of them do join in a protest or two with us every now and again, but I'm saying collectively. And, you know, sometimes when they protest with us, it's all for show. Let's not act like it isn't, okay? There was an instance during the 2020 protest with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor, where there was a woman, we all saw this on video, I'm sure, because I talked about it, where she got out at a protest and took a picture. She got out of her Mercedes-Benz and went and stood in front of a building that had been vandalized during the protest and took a picture, acting as though she's helping to repair the building. And she got in her Mercedes-Benz and she drove the hell off. That's what Karen did, trying to feign as if she's concerned about people who look like me and trying to help them protest, but she wasn't, okay? At the end of the day, that's what she wasn't doing. Okay, so let's not act like some of them are not being fake and phony. Bernie Sanders, wasn't he arrested alongside Dr. King decades ago? But that same Bernie Sanders, when he was asked whether or not he thought that people who look like me of my lineage were owed reparations, he said, reparations? What are reparations? I think it's divisive. I think it's divisive. Oh, really, Bernie Sanders? But you didn't think it was divisive? And you knew exactly what it was when your people got it for an atrocity that didn't even happen on American soil. Okay? Fakeness. Jane, what's her name? Jane Elliott goes around the world preaching to people about racism and how to avoid it or how not to be racist. But then she sits up here and says, when asked about reparations for people who look like me by a person who looks like me, she tells him, oh, first we have to give it to the natives. That's what we've got to do. We've got to give it to the Native Americans. Well, they already got their reparations, lady. That's why they own casinos and land. That's why they get stipends. Okay? That's why they get all this money. And by the way, we're the real natives, lady. So what are you even talking about? Okay, miss me with it. All right, miss me with it. But let me say this in closing. The reason why all of these nations of people, these different races and ethnic groups come to us to solve their problems and to fight their battles, and the reason why they all follow us culturally, you see, they love to do what we do. I just watched a video of Godfrey. I wish I had uploaded it to show it to you guys, but I just watched a video of Godfrey last night, the comedian, where Godfrey showed some young Caucasian males. They were probably 13 to 15 years old. They looked like they were at a mall, and they were all wearing do-rags on their heads. And so Godfrey said, this is what happens in the suburbs. He's like, they're wearing do-rags. He asked them why they were wearing it. And they said, because they want to have waves in their hair. And one of them took off his do-rag and showed his waves. So what I'm saying is this. Everybody wants to be like Black people, but they don't really want to be Black people. And then when it's time for them to fight against something, they want Black people to come to their defense. They want us to be their first line of defense. Does anyone know why that is? Does anyone know why that is? Well, I'm so glad you asked. You see, that's because all of them came from us. All of them came from us. Just like all colors come from the color Black in the spectrum, all races and ethnicities of people come from Black people. We were first and we will be here last. That's why all of these genocidal tactics that have been tried on us throughout the centuries have never worked, and they will never work, because we're going to be here till the end. We are the Alpha and the Omega, okay? Like Jesus said. All right, please pay attention. And if you look like me, Jesus is your brother, all right? Because he's a child of the Most High, as are we. Please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast, and I want you all to remember this too, okay? You cannot stand in truth and be aligned with lies. And that's what Miss Crockett needs to wake up and realize. And that's an original quote from the Queen. Okay, please pay attention. I had to trademark it because y'all know, or copyright it, because y'all know people be out here stealing talking points. So that all being said, I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Okay, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. That's right. We are the mothers and fathers, okay, of these people. We literally are. These people are our children. That's why they look to us for guidance and even protection. And that's why they get upset when we don't provide it. Okay? Please pay attention. Okay, so anyway, I love you all to life. Each one teach one is how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. And until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on their necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece, this time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen, why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got